In your packet, we have the minutes. Motion approved. So moved. Second. Any comments, questions, additions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Chair report, we made progress in a lot of fronts. I had a great stock show. Talk about that, but it's our time. And the only thing I think on the horizon, a lot of uncertainty as far as funding coming out of DC. We still obviously have some big issues there that we rely on. And until it just settles and people kind of know what funds they have, what funds they don't have, kind of makes people a little bit uncomfortable. Obviously, a lot of pieces that we still need to bring into place. Brad and his team has done an incredible job with the community, keeping them involved, and the community did great. I appreciate the report. We'll have a presentation on them today. So, overall, let's continue moving forward. And Brad, we'll turn over to you.
We able to get rid of that panel on the top. What's the problem, Brett?
Sure, we got smaller.
Yeah, more panels. There you go.
It's going away.
It's been redacted.
It's redacted.
There you go.
There you go.
Alexi's our IT.
That's what I'm
I just moved the mouse.
There's a lot of pressure on the person that's doing the IT today.
So we'll do an update in executive session today on Equestrian Center, and we can chat a little bit about Cup North as well in exec session. Just a reminder, we finished up the district sign plan, and I know that's just huge for Stock Show and Livestock Center, and so we're there in signage design. We were looking at signage all across the campus, including some wayfinding signage also. So some good progress there. We continue to work on our cell tower system, our distributed antenna system that will provide the Wi-Fi and cell service throughout our buildings. Battery backup, for those of you who drove in from the south, they've got the concrete block walls are up. There'll be a metal panel siding that goes on that matches the central utility plant. And then we're doing a large National Western Center entry sign on that building. There'll be, as 46 from the south entry out to 46th, as that lot B develops and we start looking at that whole stretch, there will be some kind of more permanent, I would assume, pedestal sign entering into the campus. But in the meantime, we thought this was like this boring little building is the perfect little billboard, so we're slapping up a sign that'll be backlit on that. We've worked with Jenna on that, so that should. Do we know how far out that is? If the sign is back.
You said February, and here we are, so.
Yeah.
That's the latest I've heard.
Follow up.
It's imminent.
Yeah. What's compounded with this, all of the other stuff going on.
Yeah.
It's like different circles.
Exactly. And I'm sure Paul will report on the legacy building and livestock. There's just incredible progress happening on both of those. They just look fantastic. Events, there's a lot going on right now, and that's a good thing. We needed to see growth this year, and we are seeing growth this year. Last year at this time, the first 3 or 4 months, we've had a third of that or half of that. There's solid momentum going on. We are saying no to some things that don't fit. We can't make dates work. That's a new phenomena for us also. So things are going well, and it's exciting.
How can you say no about as a public? Maybe
If the date isn't available.
just the date. We can't say we don't like your cause or if you're
No
available.
marijuana, no guns. But yes, there could be something outside of that description that maybe not terribly mission aligned.
So at this point, it's more of a date issue.
Yes, yeah. Lori will be doing our community impact report later in the meeting. Go ahead. On the staffing and operation side, there's a lot happening, folks. It is all the work that Joe and his team did in 2024 to get us ready to do all the work we need to do in 2025 to be ready in 2026. And we are inside the pattern and within our first notch of flaps and bring this thing in for a smooth landing. There's big procurements that we need to have in place for that as well. Our ticketing platforms, our 3 ticketing platforms, we were at final negotiations on that. Now those agreements will be coming to the Campus Services and Partnerships Committee before the next board meeting. Those agreements will come to you. We will review in executive session at the March board meeting as well. Pouring rights, this is everything non-alcoholic, that closed Tuesday.
Yeah.
And we got 3 very strong proposals that we'll be reviewing. Security and parking are next. We'll do those in Q2. And those are much bigger procurements now than they were when we did the first ones 3 years ago.
When security, does that, the WSSA, that covers all of their facilities too, right? Their facilities, are they still gonna be separate?
It's sort of a puzzle piece. Stock Show has their security group that specs and checks your facilities. We have one that we sort of partner with CSU to find out make sure that our folks and their folks aren't doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's worked pretty well. Joey, if you want to add to that?
No, I mean, the one thing that we'll work on this mostly is just we're gonna have more of an event security that comes online with this one, and then realign because we'll also have a security manager kind of realigning some of the sort of rounds and stuff like that will be taken up by some of our staff. So it's just kind of a realignment and prepared for the next buildings.
Allison, do you all spend quite a bit of money on security?
Yes,
Yeah, a big deal, huh?
it's a big deal. Yeah.
And so there are many systems being worked on right now. There's 2 or 3 meetings going on here simultaneously on either livestock itself or that startup or systems on the operations startup. It's really exciting right now. On the staffing front, we hired our marketing and communications coordinator, Gina. She's not here, right? We didn't hire her today. Gina was an intern from CU, sorry about that. It's a diversity effort. And so she was an intern and she interviewed and she won it. We had, I think, over 200 applicants. She's just fantastic. And her main focus is our social media, which we are really trying to ramp up this year to make folks aware of what's available here at the campus, both from a B2B perspective and renting our spaces and a B2C perspective in terms of getting visitors here on the campus. She's been doing great. We're hiring a campus arborist and manager of grounds. We're interviewing now. Joe, you want to talk a little bit about the role for that person?
Yeah, that one's gonna be focused on everything that we kind of had really highlighted last year, that we were trying to get our arms around, all the irrigation of this place, all the maintenance of the lawn, trees, plantings. As you know, there's over 600 trees in this, and it will only continue to grow. So it's focusing on the health of those, maintenance, making sure our irrigation's right. And then also we're gonna have some integrations with other communities. There's a really kind of neat spot for this to be able to look at some potentials with Doug and some other organizations that will be able to align community initiatives for this as well. It'll also focus on snow removal and those kinds of things to make sure that all of that is happening as it should.
Okay, why don't you run through the other?
Sure.
Yeah.
Senior facilities engineer, we are just putting a senior, we had an engineer in place, a facilities engineer. If you don't know, Can I say that Wesley's in here?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Wesley is, I just wasn't sure that.
No, don't say that.
And so we're filling that position, and then we'll have some others coming on, but this is to help build that position and really get someone in who can commission the building and be prepared to get our buildings online with the staff and the processes for that. We're also having an electrician, not an order, but a master electrician that will be coming. Exact same reasoning behind that, to make sure that our campus is tracking with all commissioning, but also that we have much more of a preventative maintenance program. And there's just, as you all know, lights, power, everywhere. We need to be on that. So that's gonna be a big piece, and they integrate a lot with the events that are coming in. So every show that comes through has lots of power that needs to be placed out. And so we just have some in place, making sure that's handled correctly. And then the last one is director of sales and ticketing, and that's just for our sales efforts, and it also has our ticketing comes on board. It is a complex ticketing platform to make sure that those three entities have support built into there, and our later down the road ticketing manager has support there.
Joe and his team have been doing some really interesting work. They've identified a whole other revenue stream that we are deep diving into, which are kind of these expo and user services, you know, and you can charge for a power source, you charge for water, you charge for a drain, charge for carpet layout, you charge for all these different things when folks come in. And so they're well down the road. There's whole pricing involved with that. And for example, the master electrician will be that person kind of heading up all that work when you've got, 150 booths setting up in 2 days. Next slide, please. I just want to point out, this is what I saw on the riverfront this morning. Cruising along National Western Drive North.
You added that this morning.
Just now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just now.
Yeah. It's not driving in and it's just on the progress.
I see them all the time. Yeah.
That's the first one I've seen.
I do see them sort of cruising down the river corridor. It's awesome. There's a couple of them we've seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen any nesting
Yeah.
in this location. Yeah. We have a nesting pair of bald eagles on our ranch, and we think she's either about to or just laid her egg, because she is in the nest and he is flying back and forth and feeding her. So this is an interesting time for the eagles. I think that is it.
That's on the birds.
That's it on the birds.
Any questions for Brad? Great, thanks, Brad. Lots going on, Joe. Great work. Appreciate all you do. Okay, we are now on the park reports. City and County of Denver, construction update is provided in the board packet. Any question for Michael? Michael, do you have any general comments?
No, you mentioned, with federal bond funding or federal grant funding. We are, of course, actively monitoring now, specifically our Reconnect Communities grant, which is, going to fund Edbridge, as well as the DPS bus barn remediation. So no major news there. We were able to get that grant agreement in, and signed and fully executed, shortly before the transition in January. We won't kind of really know until we start submitting reimbursements for that, which is still months away. But we think that's a good step, and we remain cautiously optimistic.
Thanks, Michael. That's a big deal. Any questions? Thanks, Michael. Colorado State University, the update was provided in the board packet. Dawson, did you decide to go update or anything?
No, thanks.
Okay. Thank you for the update. Any questions for Jocelyn? Thanks, Jocelyn. WSSA, for the update provided during the board meeting.
Yes.
And Paul wore his special shirt.
I'm on the spot today.
Always marketing, I like that.
Yeah, thank you. We're gonna do something a little different today, everyone. We're gonna play a video together. So as soon as Alexi's ready over there, we'll roll the video, and then I'll have some comments shortly after. This is what you missed. a heck of a project. We set records in everything that funds the scholarship trust this year, all-time records. So the Coors Western Art Show ended up at 1,452,000, or yeah, around that number anyway. And that is an all-time record by about $400,000+. Okay, so the Coors Western Art Show, unbelievable. The Citizen of the West dinner set an all-time revenue record with honoring Sharon Magnus Blake, so that was unbelievable. And all these things fund the trust. The Boots and Business Lunch that we partner with the Chamber set an all-time attendance record. So those numbers are still coming in, but we know the attendance record was all-time. And the Junior Livestock Auction, so the top 8 animals, 5 of them set all-time records. And the grand champion steer went for $210,000. Hutchison Western, and for those of you that didn't know, Buck Hutchison passed away this year, and they did it really to honor Buck, so that was quite a tribute. Buck oversaw that junior auction for 30+ years as the chair, so pretty amazing results from this year's National Western Stock Show. Other things, just so you know, the roundup, which is where we ask people to round up their dollars to fund the community investment fund, got $67,000 this year. So I'm sure that money will be transferred over to the authority. If it hasn't already, it will be soon. So that's a great number. It was a little more than 67. The capital campaign is sitting at 122.5 million. We are heading towards a goal of 150+ million. And we have $20 million in asks that are out there today.
So hopefully we can get some of those in, and I see your funnel.
Through there, that's good. So, okay, and let's see, anything else on Stock Show? I think that's probably it on Stock Show. The Legacy building itself will be dried in sometime in March here, so we'll be able to go through there without the wind coming through the building and those sort of things once it's dried in. And so we're still targeting same date as Michael on the Sioux Ancient Drivers building, which is November 3rd for turnover. And then we'll start getting it ready for the National Western Stock Show at that time. So everything's looking very well for us, and hopefully you enjoyed the video instead of me bombing you today with 20 PowerPoints that I was pondering. Anyway, any questions about anything you saw, or yeah,
Deidre.
Go ahead, Deidre.
There I am. I just want to offer my congratulations. The video was amazing. It sounds like you had a great year. And I don't need to remind anybody of this, but I just want to share a story. Paul was kind enough to hook me up with some tickets to the Black Rodeo. One of my coworkers lost her mom about 6 months ago, and their family tradition was to go to the Black Rodeo together. So they went this year without her, and she came back literally crying. And she said she seldom sees so many hot men in one place.
Well,
Thank you, Paul.
good attendance that night. For sure.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah,
Can we access the video? How can we access that video?
you know, I can send a link out if you'd like, or I sent the link to you guys. So
Can you
to
send-
share it with
Send
them.
that around.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great marketing for the whole process.
It kind of shows you every event all in 3 minutes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there was horse jumping in there, obviously the rodeos in there, the animals in the junior auction were in there. I mean, virtually everything we do that's on a big scale was in there, right? We didn't show, decorating, sheep decorating, right? Which is where they kind of get in, decorate sheep, and we didn't show that. But, there's so many things going on every day at Stock Show, it's hard to get them all in, right?
If you were to look at the calendar each
Yeah,
day
right.
for 16 days, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
It's just a list of almost on every 30-minute increment, there's something that's occurring from first in the morning till evening.
We got mutton bust in there too.
We got a lot of buses in there.
So that kind of explains it. So Paul has set the bar fairly high now for future presentations. Not sure, little graphs or
They all come with a
crummy
video.
little PowerPoints may not cut it. Thanks, Paul. Rich, I didn't realize Buck was seen that for 30 years.
Yeah, maybe a little more, because he kind of started it, him and Colette Ratcliffe were the 2 chairs initially, and And I was about the beginning of time, so Buck oversaw it for a lot of years.
You're right, $400 a pound.
Yeah, is that right? For burger. I hadn't done that, yeah, there you go, interesting.
You've heard it, right? Thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
Okay, we're in the community update, provided during the board meeting. I'll start with Sandra. Sandra, then we'll go with Caroline. Sandra? Are you there, Sandra?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. We can't see you. We can
Okay,
hear
let
you.
me get my camera on.
Okay,
Okay.
gotcha. Go ahead.
So what I have is Tierra Colectiva are gonna have a meeting on how to own their own homes on February 25th. I think that's let me see. The time. From 5 to 7 p.m. And this is gonna be see, at the greenhouse, I don't know what's the name, but it's on 47th and Cloud Street, which is in El area. And then we had to cancel our fundraising dinner this Monday for Sabor Comunitario. We didn't sell any tickets, and we know it's winter. It's hard right now, the situation with everything happening in our neighborhoods. So we had to cancel it. But we're still gonna do the graduation for Sabor Comunitario on March 18, and we asking for people to support this event with sponsorships, donation, however you can help to have this graduation for the students that did the first program last year. So we're gonna have the graduation on March 18 for them, and so we're trying to get funding for that. And yeah, I mean, we haven't been doing a lot in the neighborhood just because it's winter, and also the whole situation right now with the new administration. I think people are just afraid and trying to figure out what they're gonna do. There's a lot of fear also in the community, so it's just really hard right now in GS how to navigate everything that is happening. So that's all I have.
Any questions for Sandra? Thanks, Sandra, and I realize there's a lot of uncertainty out there, and sure appreciate your leadership in the community. So thank you so much for all you do. Caroline, you there?
Hi, I'm here, and I would start my video, but when I turn it on, it is busted. I think something is wrong with my camera on my laptop because I've been trying to troubleshoot the problem, and it just does not really want to work. So sorry about that. I also do not have much of an update. I actually just got back into town from visiting my family out of state. So I am just a little bit out of touch right now, but I usually like to go in February because, like Sandra said, it's kind of a slower month. It's the winter, you know, people are getting over the holidays and stuff like that. So not too much going on my end. But what I did want to mention was I am so excited and happy and grateful that we have got the Denver Museum of Nature and Science back into the fold. I got the immense pleasure of sitting at a table with them at the community reception and then also sitting with them at the rodeo. And they are just such a fun group of people. I think it's so great to have the museum's involvement. I know they've been a founding partner, and that during the pandemic, you know, things kind of just fell off a little bit and we didn't really have them back in the fold for a little while, but getting them back in and their community engagement team is so great. And I'm really looking forward to setting up some more events with them, doing a lot more stuff with them. So really, really appreciative of them. Whoever brought them back into the fold, I think that might have been Lori. So thank you so much for that. Really grateful. And just looking forward to all the fun we're going to have this year doing these events with them and all the other stuff that we're going to have going on. So thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, Caroline. Yeah, you always kind of forget that the museum is part of the digital partnership, so it's great to keep that connection, Lori. So great job. I do kind of sometimes feel, yeah, that they're part of this out there. So thank you very much. Any questions for Caroline? Great. Thanks, Caroline. Thanks, Sandra. See, committee reports, financial update, we have, the, finance meeting on Monday. Steve, any updates you have?
The finance committee met on Monday and reviewed the near final draft of our 2024 financial statements. We're in the midst of an audit right now, and I received the draft yesterday, and I'm happy to report for the second consecutive year, we're going to have a clean audit. It will be presented to the finance committee on March 17th and brought to the board the following Thursday of that week for approval. So that was good news. I think a couple points on our 2024 performance financially. It was a great year. Our total expenditures grew 2.5 times 2022, so really exponential growth. $5 million in operating expenses in the year came within 0.04% of budget. So that's either good budgeting or me being a policeman throughout the year. And I think kudos, as we talked about earlier, to Joe and his leadership on events. He grew gross event revenue threefold in a year, and he's only been here a year and a half. So great job on Joe's leadership. I think on our team strength, I started September of 22. We had 7 staff members. Today we have 17. In 2024 alone, we reviewed 1,168 resumes. That's 1,168 people that said, I want to be a part of what's going on at the National Western Center. We interviewed 77 of those people, both on the phone and in person. We hired 8 new team members in 2024, 6 new roles and 2 replacements, and we're going to double that number almost this year. So in addition to all the other things going on, I spent countless hours reviewing 1,100 indications of interest of wanting to be a part of this, and then collectively as a team, we interviewed almost 100 of those people. So it just, it's a thoughtful process. We want to acknowledge everybody that expresses interest in being a part of our team and being really careful and meticulous and intentional as we grow and not growing organically, as they say. And then, as I mentioned, as from an accountability standpoint, this is our 3rd year with our audit partner, Olson Reyes at Sour Wine. And for the 2nd year in a row, we're going to deliver a clean audit to the board. Thanks to everybody's effort financially and their support, not the least of which are our partners. We couldn't do it without you.
Thanks, Stephen. You mentioned you were a policeman. That was a sport from Steve. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, that's good.
I want to give you a chance to weigh in if you want to.
It comes with the job. The finance guy is the least popular person in the building.
No.
You know, the CFO office is the office of no. I like to think it's KNOW. They think it's NO, but that's my job.
Great.
Fiscal year calendar.
And then when do you anticipate being able to send me the authorities invoice for Scott Show?
Well, the policeman has told everybody I want their numbers by February 25th. That's a week from the other day. And I know you are on a March 31 fiscal year, so out of respect, I want to have that to Jeff by February 28th.
Okay.
Yeah, so the policeman told everybody February 25th, I want the numbers.
You have been more publicly.
And I will have your seat tax. I just got a update from budget at the city. They're waiting for what's called a PRJ number. Just so I'll submit that and I'll have that to you before March 31 as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Nicole, any other comments?
No, I'm also the policewoman, so I understand.
From the policewoman? Yeah, no, we are in excellent hands under Steve's guidance, and the CFO needs to be tough.
It's not our money.
Not our money, yes. Okay, the campus services and partnerships, no updates this morning. So,
John, if I could add one thing, and I just wanted to mention, Steve and I were talking a week or so ago. campus services and partnerships, while we do put meetings on your calendars for every month, CSP meets as needed as the procurements come up, so we want to meet just to meet. So apologies if that disrupts your world, if there's a meeting that gets scheduled and canceled, but we also know if everybody's schedules, if you didn't have that on your calendar, it would be a nightmare to do every time. So if you got a different approach you'd rather see us do, I'm happy to hear, but that's what we've been doing so far. That's why they get canceled a lot.
Thanks for clarification, Brett. Community benefits, Ernest? The updates provided in the board packet. Ernest, do you have any comments?
No, good morning, Mr. Chair, Board. There's no update that's provided in the board packet, and that's it.
Okay, thank you, Ernest.
Thank you.
Community update, Lori.
All right, so hi, my name is Lori, and I've been with National Western Center for a little over 2 months. And I feel like, starting off at the stock show was one of the biggest gifts that I had. I'm just being able to be on campus and seeing the rodeo and all of the activities. It was really something I was so excited about. And it was my first time really getting to experience all of it. But as I dive into my role, I really, in looking over the community impact report, I really want you guys to know, as we look in the past, I've been focusing on the past, learning kind of the history of GES, and then focusing on present and moving towards 2025. So that's what we're going to think about as we go into the community impact report. So we are champions for the community, and my role is to really be an advocate and partner with our community and our members and neighbors. And so how we do that is going through creating, advocating, partnering, participating, providing, and innovating. And as I go through those slides, we're going to see how we engage those. I've got my little cheat sheet, because sometimes I go rogue when I talk about all cool stuff that we're doing. So 1,200 jobs were created in up to date, and 550 jobs were created in 2024 alone. So one of the cool things is that they work with minority-owned local small businesses, and from 2023 to 2024, they've increased by 330% by going from 540,000 to 1.8 million in 2024. So that's just really exciting things that I got to learn doing this report. And just as we move forward into 2025, our goal is to have 200 new jobs opened and providing through our procurement process, as well as 60% working with small minority-owned businesses. So we're really excited about that coming in 2025. We've really focused on trying to collect and create a micro business directory for in-house. We understand that there's many out there, but we're really trying to focus internally as well, that we can hold and really send out that messaging that we're trying to gather all of the services that are in the community and be able to share as we know opportunities are coming available. So there are requirements, 75,000 and above, they have to go to RFP. So we did work together as a team to create a BidNet presentation, how to work with small businesses on really getting into BidNet. If you guys have ever worked with it, it's very detail oriented, and some of those boxes are just, they can get overwhelming. So having this instruction and kind of information is so important to have it, to be able to share with the community. Jenna did put it on our website, so if you are coming in, you would like to apply for an RFP, it does give instructions, but then we're hoping to be a resource to the community and those small businesses. And so how are we advocating for the community interests and needs? So our biggest goal for moving in 2025 is really the community events, increasing activation with our CHC meetings, really getting awareness what our meetings are for, and just really trying to dive in and getting a bigger audience. Our partnerships with local governments, organizations, sorry, I said governments, but local organizations, just to let them know all the activities that we're gonna be doing in the community. And then also, we just created a partnership with We Don't Waste. They will be starting the first Friday of every month. I'm so excited to share that, they serve the minimum of like 250 families. So our goal is once a month here at the hub, we're calling this open space over here, the hub. It's really gonna be able to activate and serve our food insecurity in the community, as well as they come with partners with Recycle that also supports the whole baby essentials. So our goal is to really, try to serve those community members and really be a place where they can come and it's safe and they can just grab food and resources. And they do follow the sustainability component. The whole purpose for Recycle is to really keep food out of the trash and out of the environment. It's really to support how we can get food on the tables. Next up. And then partnering with the community events, one of the strongest things when I came into this role is just being able to know that they have these community events that are strong in the community and trying to build. They want to build, not just say, we've offered this and we want to move forward. So giving me the opportunity to really move into 2025 and creating that partnerships and trying to expand services at our site. So I've kind of got a list up here, but it's We Don't Waste and Recycle, which I already talked about that we're going to be bringing to campus every month. We have the March Powwow, which will be coming into upcoming into March. Our goal is to provide free tickets for the March Powwow for our community members, as well as work with Denver Public Schools on a field trip to really get the students and their families engaged and have that be a learning experience, and also just to really give the opportunity for us to come together as a family, learn. And yeah, so we're really excited about this opportunity this month. And then we were able to get some comp tickets. So we're going to be offering that to the community. This year we were focusing on Earth Day and we had to pivot. So we're moving towards a Mother's Day, Mother Earth celebration. And we just tweaked it here the last week, and we understand there's a lot of different services happening in GES community at that same day. So we're hoping to really just be another service to the community. I really do believe when people say don't recreate the wheel, I really do believe that we need more wheels in the community to provide more services. Nobody ever says I have too many resources in the community. So that's our goal. It's not just to all come together as one. It's us to come together all together and provide different services, provide a place where they can go to multiple places for resources and community. So it's really to engage everyone.
That Saturday also, that's
Yeah.
CSU's second Saturday.
It's the second Saturday. So our goal, and I won't go rogue, but the second Saturday, CSU Spur has their campus activated for the community. And our goal is to activate with them, not work against, the grain. It's like, how do we activate the whole campus? We are all the same, community members. And so I've been working with Eduardo and he's been amazing, just helping us, how can we add to all the great things that they're already doing and how do we activate more spaces? So it's just, whether it's nice or they can just like walk and really enjoy our campus. So I'm really excited for the partnership and the relationship that Eduardo has really opened up to me. But Mother's Day and Mother Earth will be in conjunction with their second Saturday. So we are working with UCAN on reactivating and refreshing the playground on May 3rd. And we're just gonna give it a paint refresh and they're gonna plant some flowers and they worked with Garden Place Academy. And so we're really excited about that. The riverfront open space, our goal is this summer to have a annual riverfront just activation and celebration. The vision is food trucks, music, vendors, and just hopefully fireworks, but it's not legal. So maybe like a drone show, I don't know. But our goal is to happen in June or July. Then we're going to be moving. This will be my first time doing trunk or treat on this campus. So we're still continuing to have that. And then Indigenous Peoples Day, that is in conversation. So our goal is to really just have a space where people can come on a year, like all year long, to really come together and really activate. And then stock show activities, that's happening towards the end of December, where we start getting ready for January, the best 16 days. And then we've got community dinners. That is, when I first came into this role, that was one thing that I saw coming into this community, is really providing a space where it is a place where people can come together, eat, have no obligation. It's just conversation, get to know your neighbors, get to know the people around you. So I hope that is engaged and activated hopefully by the end of 2025. I'm going to go to the next slide. So the Community Advisory Committee, the CAC, our goal is to really get growth in attendance, which we talked about previously, and then the recruiting community members. I really want to make sure that this meeting is not just another meeting on your guys' calendar, but also a place where you guys can come, gather information, important information, and hopefully tools to provide to your community members with resources. I'm really excited about just really extending and getting the word out of any resources, whether I'm sharing resources that are going in the community or people are sharing our resources. I just think it's really important for us all to kind of convene. Supporting partner platforms, we have added CSG Spur to our monthly agenda, so I'm really excited. So Eduardo will be updating at our CAC of any events or activations that are coming up. So we're excited to have them as on our agenda moving forward. And then we are also working with DPD on having a quarterly update. So they will be updating in March for CAC, but our goal is to have them kind of talk to the community about safety concerns and initiatives that they're working on, and kind of talk to us about community safety. And then providing technical assistance for the CIF. So last year we were able to provide a grant for $90,000, and that was in July. And we are projected of $150,000 for 2025, and we're really excited about that, and hope this number just grows. Brad, do you want to say anything regarding that?
We're going to hear from the CIF committee here next, and just an update on our side. We continue to look at different ways to increase the revenue streams to fund the CIF. We do that not just with the roundup. For example, 10% of our parking revenue goes to the CIF. During the negotiations of our procurements, we also work, we're very clear and intentional with our submitters that supporting CIF is part of what success looks like in working with us. And that has been effective. Been able to secure funding for the CIF through our concessions procurement. We are going to be successful in our ticketing platform, as well as our boarding rights platform, and at each step of the way. It also, 2026 is going to be a great, exciting year, and for so many reasons. And one of the other reasons is we're going to have a whole lot more people coming to the Livestock Center. We are now have committed to, and any point of sale now that happens on our campus, it was in our master lease, requests roundup dollars. Part of that solution really is about technology. We continue, roundup is a complex mechanism, and it's complex because servers sometimes feel like that's taking away from their tips. That's just a reality. And we want our servers to also get tipped. So it's a balancing act. The answer is in the technology and making it show up on a touchpad where you touch your credit card and hit yes. When we do that, it is more successful. And so we are moving to that. We've also been in conversations with arts and venues about the Coliseum. They did better this year. We just got their numbers last night, $6,500 from stock show rodeos alone. They have committed, they are changing over their point of sale system in the Coliseum year round now with better technology and a touchscreen. And they have committed to doing roundup in the Coliseum year round, not just at stock show. So we are we are making improvements to increase the size of this funding. It was about 90,000 in 2024. It will be something over 150,000 in 2025 when we make our grant donation payment on early first week in July or whenever we transfer that grant contribution. But we're very committed to looking at it. It is a filter through which we make every decision in this organization in terms of the transaction. We're very clear on what our mission is. Supporting community is absolutely one of those guiding principles, and the CIF is a tool to help do that in ways that changes lives. We've been incredibly impressed with what the CIF committee has accomplished and the systems you set up, and the grants you did in 2024 were amazing. I'm sure you'll continue to do that as we provide. Our job is to provide the fuel. That's our job. And then the community decides where its needs are and how to prioritize those needs. I think that guiding principle is why this is working well. We'll continue that way. We will keep our eyes on the ball of trying to generate more funds at every step of the way. And so I'm pleased with where we are, and it's not good enough yet. So we'll continue to grow it in all the decisions we make. Looking forward to your report today. Lori, anything else?
So the next slide, we have the Equestrian Center, and I'm gonna hand it over to Steve.
Hi, everyone, I'll be quick. We have this constant effort moving through this project. We had a ton of momentum coming out of 2023, integrating all the ideas that we generated from community members into the RFP. We went into a selection process. We entered into a pre-development agreement in 2024, and those community benefit and 275 ideas made it into that agreement. We introduced the development partner, CAP, to community members through several facets. One was major community-wide meetings, and I'm sure you can read the slide, but the smaller sub-bullets there is kind of our package that we go out with when we host a community-wide meeting. Mailers to 7,000 households, flyers, door knocking, newsletters, and offering gift cards to all attendees that from the community. Table at community events. We established a monthly task force meeting, so it was a focus group that went through several components of the equestrian project. Design, jobs, small business support, CIF revenue opportunities. We spent a lot of time designing the 4,000 square foot community space. The architects are holding the pen, but the community members are telling the architects what to draw. It's incredible, really exciting process, and I'm having a ton of fun. I mean, it's pretty special what we're able to create with this project. We are paving the path for 2025. We're taking those pretty pictures, putting them into legal documents and into a development agreement. We will have ongoing outreach. We will be sharing components of the development agreement with community members, especially around the community benefits and how this will come to fruition and how it's written and required of our developers. We will do that through similar efforts. We are working with our task force to define if we have a big community meeting similar to what we've done in the past, or if we go door to door, or if we have smaller group meetings so people understand what we're doing in this development agreement. We will go to city council this year, and construction is anticipated to start this year. with a successful trip to city council. And with that will come construction jobs and a ton of input on how we generate interest and disseminate information to the community for those jobs. And then we will continue task force meetings in 2025 to finalize the design of community space, talk about public art, and begin to prepare for operations. Lots to discuss when we start operating this. My next slide is, I'll be brief, and this is kind of the community benefits package that is in draft form, but many folks have seen this before. We have our baseline requirements from the framework agreement, building the 4,000 square foot community space, designing a site that has connectivity directly from Globeville to the RTD station, much open space, the construction jobs approach, a room night fee at the hotel as CIF revenue, fundraising day for CIF, exploring other opportunities for revenue into the CIF. As Brad mentioned, all of our procurements that we work through, this is one of them. Another opportunity to generate revenue. Promotion of local businesses to hotel guests. Check into the hotel, you may see a pamphlet in your room that's showcasing a local restaurant in the neighborhood. We get super creative with this. Sage Hospitality, the hotel operator, has really good ideas on how to showcase what's happening in the neighborhoods. Free discounted community use of hotel facilities, that's not included in the community space. This would be like meeting rooms in the hotel, and then apprenticeships, internships, jobs during operations, everything from training to become part of the operations team and running a hotel, low paying jobs to high paying jobs. This will be an economic engine that we want to bring the community into. Great.
So innovating for the health and sustainability of the community. So we talked about recycle and we don't waste as their focus is, keeping food out of the trash cans and really providing support and pulling from restaurants and produce boxes so there's no waste at all, and they're bringing them to our community to serve our families that are food insecure. We've got coming online, moving into 2025 is community composting and donation programs. Compost Colorado, they did a training with us in the last month and just amazing things. I'm learning, even as a homeowner, I'm just trying to figure out the best way to recycle compost and the ingredients, but I'm happy to say that they're going to be coming into the community, and that's going to be just such a great partnership. We have the Dove partnership, which Jeff touched on shortly, is our goal is to hopefully have garden boxes or gardens or food forests up along Grace Street, is that correct? And to really focus on having those community gardens for all of us, and hopefully we can have enough produce and enough harvest that we can get free food for everyone, and it'll be a place for us to go and to be able to serve. But that's my hope and dream, is to provide food. And then we have our solar gardens that are coming online, as well as the farm box. But I'm going to give it back to Steve because I'm not that familiar with what's coming.
Much more to come on the farm box. Yeah. The farm box actually got a CO, so it's connected. It can start growing food. This is a shipping container, essentially a hydroponic grow facility, contained climate that's sitting just north of the Stock Yards Event Center. It is in partnership with Common Spirit, Farm Box, and Puerto Arena, the focus points group is going to actually operate the box, grow the food, do what they want with the food. So our contribution there is real estate and utilities, and making sure that the box is up and running, and the community can grow food for everyone. As you said.
Food for everyone, and this goes in line with our community dinner. So hopefully somehow we can engage, the free food that will go for millions and millions that we can serve families for free at community night. So
much more to come with Farm Box, so it's just getting going.
But yeah, so there's so much happening. Next slide. So I did want to go over stock shows. The next time we meet, it'll be far gone from January, and I just don't want people to forget that we had such a great turnout. We had 307 tickets that we were giving out to the community, Each ticket included a $20 food voucher. There were families that this was the first time they were able to go to the stock show, just being able to participate in the community day, which was on January 14th. So much participation, I feel like, happened. And yeah, we had the parade. That was amazing. I actually jumped on the train with them, not the train, but the buggy with them. And the kids were so excited. There was 20 kids. They were screaming, they were excited. Their parents were in the stand, so they were able to feel like celebrities when their parents were screaming their names. So that was such a great opportunity that I got to be involved in, but it was already in place prior to me coming in. Anthony Aragon started that, and it was such a great and a cool thing to be a part of.
I'm sitting here on some of the thank you notes
Yeah.
that the kids wrote there.
Well, and their pictures, they have drawings that were to die for. So hopefully next year, we can just really engage even more. Yeah, so I was really excited to go over those. And obviously I talked about the community day, 307 tickets. We did have a reception and rodeo night for the CAC, and I was so lucky to have so many people participate. We had about 51 people attend, and there were people, that was the first time I was meeting, but like Caroline said, it was the first time it was a time where she could sit down and talk to other people that were supportive of our community. So really excited for all of the people that were able to participate at the reception and rodeo. And then CSU Spur had their second year anniversary. I was able to table at that event and just kind of learn all the supporters in the community. So it was a great experience. And there's some pictures. I could have given you guys a photo album of them, but I just figured you could do a few pictures. And then obviously we couldn't do any of it with all the supporters that are online. So we're just so grateful and want to make sure that they are recognized, that they are obviously the core to all of the great work that is going to be done at National Western Center.
I would also just add that there's still a lot more work to do. We're doing a ton of work, and we're super excited and positive about that. There's still so much more work to do. We're committed to that. Lori she said the word excited, I think 15 times.
I know, I swear people are gonna get prizes if I say excited, and it's, I really do get excited about the community stuff just because that's always been in my veins. It's always been my community initiative, is to make sure that we are a safe place and we can grow. And just because something we do, if it doesn't work, we kind of pivot. And, our goal is to pivot with the community and learn and how to expand services.
So Sandra had a question about how we're promoting the Mother's Day event. Jenna, Lori, thoughts on?
Yeah, so we just pivoted last week. So my goal is to start sending out emails. I've got a meeting with Eduardo on Monday to talk about ways and kind of create a map. In a perfect world, we have a little passport that can show people all of the different activations with community members on that day to kind of put stars and say you can go here. But it's really trying to get enough participation on functioning the event, which we're getting a lot of great feedback. And then our goal is to start advertising in March to then hopefully up until, advertising up until a week before. And our goal is also at CAC to announce that we do want to have an internal committee with community members as well as partners and National Western Center. So we can all talk, because I want to make sure that we have community members involved in the planning, so we can really see, what would excite them coming to this event, because it's a conjunction event. So our goal is to have Mother's Day celebrated and family celebrated, but also we are also celebrating Mother Earth, and we want to be able to educate our community members on ways of saving our, saving our earth and, composting. I could go on, but does that answer your question, Sandra?
Yeah, I was just curious on how everything was gonna be promoted in the community, something that is sometimes very challenging is having two events on the same date, and having different information. But if it's gonna be just, we already know that the second Saturday happens every month, and there's a big attendance on that date already. But we really want to see more community from GES, and that was mostly my question, how we're gonna be promoting that. So more community from GES, more residents from GES can be part of this event, and being able to go to all the campuses, and I was just, because I've seen this before, having events on the same date, it confuses the community, and we end up with no community because there's two different events. So I was just trying to see how everything's gonna work out. So we do see a good ¿cómo se dice? Engagement from GS. So that was
Yeah,
good.
no, and I totally understand that. I do know that there are several events that are happening on that day. Our goal is, as we're starting to activate with We Don't Waste and having hundreds of families come through the door, is to collect information. If they're, because they're focused on GS community. So hopefully we're attracting people that have never been heard or seen. Our goal is to really not take away from anybody, but hopefully activate. But this is also, my first year, so I'm very good about taking notes and making mental notes on, what's working and what's not. But I do feel like expanding services on the campus and showing, more resources is such a great thing for me right now. But, like I said, I will pay attention as I move forward, and, communicating with the community and my role.
Yeah, Lori, great report. You have a lot going on already. You need to put more on your plate, it sounds like, but love the enthusiasm.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, I can tell you really, it's in your DNA doing this, so
Thank you.
great to have
She's
you.
really hit the ground running.
Oh, yeah.
It's been fun to watch. She's doing a great job.
And so what are those illegal fireworks you were saying? All I would.
Yeah, I tried to cut that. I was like, drones.
Okay. Thanks, Lori. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Nice segue into the CIF. Right, you want to say something? Introduce our guests?
So, CIF committee is joining us today. Presentation. If you were here last June or July, summertime, I think.
Or maybe the same time last year. I don't know.
I can't recall. But,
Yeah. So welcome back.
Yeah.
Just excited to hear what you guys have to share.
Yeah, well, thanks for having us. I can't lie, I missed the old exchange building. It's a lot less tighter in there. But happy to be here regardless. Just really quickly, Juliana, one of our fellow committee members, is in the waiting or is in attendance, but if you could just please promote her so she can speak during this as well, that would be greatly appreciated.
Real quick on folks, do know the people here.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that she was in here soon, but yes, of course. So I'll get started. My name is Alfonso Espino. I believe I've met most of you before, at least as much as you can meet someone in this format. I guess maybe I haven't said as much about myself as I could. In my day job, I am a community organizer for the Global Elyria Swansea Coalition. I was born and raised in Elyria, in Swansea. Back when you could move up a block and down a couple other, when, my mom used to rent. My grandpa actually used to work at one of the packing houses here back in the day. Amongst many other jobs. I think I told Mike Bouchard this last time I met with him at their building. My grandma used to work right across the street with, is currently Cintas, used to be GK, so she used to work there as well. So very happy to be here regardless of the downgrade in the size of the room capability. And really happy to be here. I've been serving on the CIF committee since its inception as far as the committee goes. And I'm also honored and have the privilege to be entrusted to be currently serving as the director of the Community Investment Fund, which is really just a glorified title, other than like signing couple pieces of paperwork. I don't do much other than contribute like the rest of my colleagues, and so with that, I'll pass it on. Maybe I'll go this way with Steph.
Yeah. Hi, all. Good morning. This is my first time being here at this meeting, of course, and then I've been on the CIF for about 6 months now, so newer. My name is Steph Francis, and I'm a Globeville resident, but have been working in GES for about 10 years. I'm the founder of Prodigy Coffee House and Prodigy Ventures, which is a nonprofit social enterprise model, and we're both in Swansea and in Globeville, 2 different locations. But really what we do is we hire young adults, specifically hyper locally in GES, and really targeted those whose families have been, longtime residents in GES. And really what it is, it's a paid apprenticeship in a craft coffee house. So the social enterprise kind of term basically just means that we're a nonprofit, we exist for the community mission, and but we also generate revenue through a business arm, but it's all mission fulfillment. So we're hiring young adults who generally have barriers to workforce development and such, and training them and really creating a space for them to step into their greatness there. So I was the executive director for 8 years. Now Jesslyn is the executive director there, but that's sort of my quick story and where I fit into the CIF. Yeah.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Shannon Hoffman. I'm the project manager for the GES Community Investment Fund. I'm the one staff member, and it's truly an honor to get to work for and with the folks in Globeville area and Swansea. And thank you for the opportunity to talk with you all today.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Angela Garcia. I am a Globeville resident. My family was displaced from what is now the Auraria campus and moved to Globeville. I grew up, bought my home 32 years ago. I'm a proud resident. I am also a member of the CAC and the CBC. Became a member of the CIF at its very beginning, along with Liliana and Alfonso and Tony Garcia. And I love my neighborhood, and I just want to say the parade float was the idea of Liliana Flores Amaro when she was the non-voting member here. And I just carried that over, and the fact that it's been 2 years now and those letters are just the most adorable thing ever, warmed my little cold heart today. And again, thank you for allowing us to be here so that we can talk about the SIF and about what our residents have been able to do with those monies and what they can possibly do with those monies further into the future.
Liliana,
Liliana, if you can hear us.
All right. Yes, I can hear you all. Hi, everyone. My name is Liliana Flores Amaro. Thank you I was hoping to be in person with you all today, but I have 2 kiddos now sick at home. So thank you for allowing me to be here in the virtual space with you all. It's nice to see some familiar faces and get to know some new faces from when I was on the authority board. To Angela's point, my initial idea, actually, it's still hopefully in the works somewhere down the line, is a parade through the neighborhood. A parade float through downtown is great, but I would love to see a parade through the neighborhood too. In Mexico, it's called a cabalgata, where they have lots of horses running through a route. So anywho, I'll just put that idea back out there. A little bit about me is that I grew up in Swansea, and I currently live in Swansea here with my family. Northeast Denver's been our home since my parents and grandparents immigrated from Mexico in the 70s and 80s. And my professional background is in education, early childhood education in particular. And so I'm living and breathing everything early childhood right now. I left the board once I had my son, who is now 5. And I also have a 1.5-year-old. And so, I'm interested in sort of supporting and leveraging and making sure that all families with young children have what they need. Another hat I wear is also co-lead, co-director for GRISED ECE, an emerging early childhood organization here in GES. And so yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be back with you all, and happy to be part of the CIF since its initial founding. And I'll pass it back to Alfonso, I believe, to.
Yeah, if you could just pull the presentation back up. Thank you, Jenna. If you haven't seen this, this is our logo. I hope you've seen it at some point. I know most of you don't live here, but I think most neighbors probably have seen this logo now as well. We tend to send mailers out, as we just did again, to announce this year's funding cycle. So if you could just go on to the next slide. So this is a picture of our then smaller Community Investment Fund Committee. Those that are not here today, either in person or virtually, are Candy, our former council member, as well as Tony Garcia. So those, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 now. Sorry, my math is pretty bad today. But those are the Community Investment Fund members. Shannon is the one lone employee, star employee of the month every year, every month. And she really has been magnificent. I really have to commend the work that she's been contributing to this. It really couldn't be possible to pull off everything that we've done in the past, over a year since she's came in, because we're a volunteer committee. Obviously, we're all loving and dedicating to lovers of and dedicated to our community. But really, it takes someone like Shannon to really get it all off the ground, to keep things going in between. So we're really happy about that. I'm really proud to have her on the team as well. If you could just keep going as well. Next slide. So most of you should be familiar with the Community Investment Fund, but this is just a quick refresher. It was set up as a part of the framework agreement that brought the main capital partners into the National Western Center redevelopment project. And a few years ago, like I said, a few of us were nominated originally by then former council members, W. Ortega and Candy Sidabaca. I remember when we first started this group, it was about 12 people, at least, right, Angela? It was a lot of people. It dwindled down because it's a really busy commitment. Most of us have daytime jobs, obviously, but we've persisted through. We made a lot of progress. And the current 6 that are serving, honestly, I think it really is a case of quality over quantity. I think that it would actually kind of I can't even think of having 12 members right now. That would be kind of crazy and maybe not as productive our meetings. We kind of get on tangents anyways, but just a quick refresher on what the Community Investment Fund is. And the last thing that I'll say on this slide is that we are governed by neighbors, and that includes ourselves. But most importantly, and there's some more information in this presentation later on, we really believe in the community having the final say in what the current funds that we have available are used for. And so Steph will give a really great overview about what that actually looks like in practice since we started implementing it. But we're really proud to say that, we're ran by and we are stewarded by our community. We mean that. It's not just a cliche. It's not just our logo or anything like that. Our slogan, I mean. It's really something that we live by and we work by, and we're proud to keep on doing. And we appreciate the space to be able to do that as well, to have that sort of autonomy, to have been able to carry the work on thus far as an autonomous group has been difficult, but nonetheless it's been very rewarding, because I feel that if you were at the event last week or 2 weeks ago, when we celebrated this year's cycle, the community trusts us because they know who we are. That we're people from the community, and especially now that we have 1 year's worth of granting done, there's people seeing what the money's going towards, the beautiful projects that have been able to be funded by this work, and hopefully the beautiful work that can continue to be funded, the beautiful ideas that haven't been rewarded yet through funding, could be in the future. So we're really proud of where we are so far. You could go on to the next slide.
All right, yeah, so how we operate is on consensus and through bi-monthly committee meetings in the CIF. And then grants that are awarded to the community are reviewed and by additional community members. So it's really a community-led process. Just one on the last bullet point there that says strategic planning for the future expansion of CIF. I just wanted to make, build that out a little bit for you all. So again, kind of, as Brad mentioned, hey, we've got some traction for sure on granting out some of these grants. Angela's going to tell us a little more about that. And there's more to go, right? There's a vision that we have at the CIF for much more expansive use of funds to be able to support the community that they deserve. And so, yes, we have grant making, but we're also studying national entities across the country that are doing these types of investments in community-led processes, and really dreaming about, hey, yes, grant making is one piece that we've started with, but there's also other ideas that are in a vision and that we're working to put on paper and to be able to really spell out a strategy for. So that's starting in the spring for us, and we'll be excited to share those pieces with you. But other ideas include things like doing revolving loans potentially for community, and incubating small businesses in the community, making investments, whether that's commercial real estate or land or what have you, or acting as an education entity, a training entity, a connector entity for residents in the community. So again, nothing solid, no decisions made there, but just some initial pieces to kind of cast that vision. And I'm newer to this. I'm really trying to understand the complexities of all of National Western and the campus and everything, and the relationship with community. So it's kind of a cool perspective to have, what's really, what's going on here, and like putting it all together. But I think the biggest thing I would say is that I feel like the right people are at the table on all sides, and that there's some win-win capabilities here that could be really beautiful, and that as in partnership, we can really step in to be leaders in the country around how do you navigate this, So I'll stop there.
I'm gonna pass out a document. You can send a couple this way and this way. But this just gives a little overview of our fund. Our committee member Candy created this document. So we started with a $400,000 technical assistance grant from the city, and that allows us to do our internal operations.
Give me more. Yeah. they're coming.
Oh, sorry.
And behind you too.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So we started with a $400,000 technical assistance grant from the city that allows us to do our internal operations. The first year, we received $86,000 from the roundup, and then this year, in year two, we have $90,000 that we will be using to grant out all of those funds to folks in the neighborhoods. And so then we also have what we have for our cash on hand. So we are working also to put this on our website to make sure that we have transparency with our neighbors. On the back of that sheet, as you flip it over, that's the pie chart is the applications that we received. So you can see that we received a lot of applications around housing needs. We have made the decision to fund critical home repairs, meaning repairs that would make it so that folks' homes would be uninhabitable or they would be forced to move out of the neighborhood. And then there's a quick snapshot of our grantees, which Angela will go over in a minute. But can we go to the next slide, please? This is just a little bit about our community outreach strategies. So we sent out, again, this year, these mailers to 2,500 households in 80216 in Spanish and in English. I'm happy to leave a few of these, but they're a little more precious to get these to the neighbors. And last year, we also partnered with the authority on the texting platform. We just finished hosting 4 of our info sessions in each of 3 neighborhoods. And at each of those info sessions, we have interpretation there. We also hold office hours where we can talk with folks, about their ideas. We'll be attending community meetings and events to talk about the application. We'll be going to the schools to do practicas with the principal and parents. And then on our website, we also have a recorded video in English and Spanish that walks folks through the application. So if people can't come in person or come to office hours, we have those virtual options for folks as well for how we reach out to people. And I guess just the other thing I would add is that yeah, we had a really great event where we launched our cycle 2 of grant funding, and we had probably over 50 folks there in attendance, which was really exciting for us for that launch. And if we could go to the next slide. This is just a snapshot of our website. If you want to dive a little bit deeper, it's gescommunityinvestmentfund.org, and you can click on projects and see all of our grantees. But if you go to the next slide, I'll pass it over to Angela to talk about who our grantees in cycle 1 were.
First slide 2.
Then there'll be 2 other slides after this with more of them.
Good morning, everyone. I've not had caffeine yet today, so bear with me. One of the things that came out of this is when we presented it to people was all the amazing ideas. We had approximately 32 applications last year, and this is what we were able to fund. And to go back to what Steph covered briefly, we as committee members, we don't review anything that comes in. We go out to the community and ask who wants to be a reviewer, come forward. We had people come forward. They did it. They made those decisions. They know their community. They know what they need. They know who's been in the community the longest, who's done what, it all depends on how pretty you write, right? And there was a lot of people who came to Shannon and said, I'm confused, how do I do this? And Shannon helped them be able to put their thoughts and most importantly, their feelings into words for the application. So what we funded here is our community voice and economic opportunity. And the first is GS Coalition, was very well known in all 3 neighborhoods. And they did renters' rights and talked to people about and encourage people to use their voice that we all have to speak up for themselves and for their neighbors in the 3 apartments, is it all 3?
Yeah,
that are in GS, so the Elizabeth, the Stella, and the Vina. And the next one is the Swansea Illyria Safe Cycle. Chad Ramirez did this, and his main goal was to do exactly that, make it safe for people to bike and to scooter. And he's been on meetings in the CDC and in the CAC and with the city to talk about, hey, the lighting's not safe here. We need this here for people to go through. This floods here. What do we do? And it's wonderful to be able to hear his voice. Panaderia Emmanuel, which I hope many of you can go and visit. Daniel and Julia have owned that business. Their families have owned that business for about 30 years in the neighborhood. They serve tortas, burritos, pastries. And if you ever walk into their place in the summer and it's 100 degrees outside, it's 200 degrees inside. I mean, it's cool where the women are baking. But if we're gonna have a meeting in there, it's hot. So they applied and they were able to get some cooling for their business. So stop in the summer when it's hot, enjoy your meal, and you won't bake either. Birdsea Collective is also very well known in the community for all the things that they've done. They hosted a fall fest, which brought forth members from the 3 communities, 3 neighborhoods, to enjoy themselves, to be able to forget all the things that are in our lives that we have to deal with, and to go and meet people that you haven't seen in a very long time because we're so busy, listen to music and get some food. Next slide, please. And our health and environment, which we know that 80216 is one of the most polluted zip codes in the United States. And these are the small things that these people are trying to do to make those things better for us. So the Abolition Garden was from the, they enabled youth mentorship to enable support 8 youth leaders in GES to work on food justice and cultural preservation. And Lori, we can talk later and get a little bit more about that if you want. And it's just amazing because, you know, some of us are becoming more mature in life and we can't do as much as what we want to. And we need to educate our youth, and that's exactly what this was doing to, you know, we don't have a grocery store in 80216 that we can access quickly. So that was good for them. Project Angel Heart, also very well known in the 3 communities as well as in the Denver metro area. They gave away, they served 6,000 meals for 42 GES residents living with cancer, HIV, AIDS, Alzheimer's, kidney, heart, lung disease, and other severe illnesses. And those of us who have had cancer know how difficult it is to be able to even want to cook, to even think about cooking. Living on inshore for 3 days is not a good thing. And having done that myself, I wish I had the brains to go through that. So the fact that they reached out to neighbors in all 3 neighborhoods to be able to give them something to sustain themselves is a beautiful thing to see. And then we have the tree watering project. As we know, GES has one of the lowest tree canopies in the city of Denver. So there's been large groups of people who have been distributing trees to many neighbors. The unfortunate thing is people want trees, water is expensive, so they don't have a way to water their tree to keep it alive. So this group of people had the idea to hit up Denver Water and open up the fire hydrants, drive around and water the trees so their trees can still stay alive and, you know, make the air healthy, make shade, grow memories, maybe put a tree house. So that's what they did with that. Next slide, please. Our housing support. This group received $10,000 and they went to many homes. Some of them are pictured here. And they put bars in the bathroom for people to be able to get in and out of the shower, out of the bathtub, to be able to use the bathroom. They put motion censored light in the front, in the back. They put railings on their steps going in and out. Again, as we become more mature, you need a railing. They did those things, and those happy faces right there should tell you everything that they did. And I've spoke with some of those residents. They're my neighbors. They've said, you know, it's so much, we feel so much better now. The light goes on, and it doesn't matter if it's a car, a raccoon, a squirrel, a cat. And that makes them happy. And then our other housing, we had people apply for things I'm not going to mention to protect their privacy. But they also did not probably qualify for Habitat for Others redevelopment, etc. And also because they didn't qualify, they either, you make $2.50, you make $2.50 too much, you don't qualify, unfortunately. And it was also smaller things that would not have been covered by those kinds of things anyway. So the fact that this money could make people feel comfortable to be able to remain in their homes. Many of our homes, we live in them generationally. They belong to our grandparents, our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents. So that they can stay there safely, and they stay there because they love their neighborhoods. They love Glowville, they love Elyria, they love Swansea. And yeah, so you know, I think I'm done.
Angela, could I add
Yes.
2 things?
Yes.
And I'll add a little bit about our cycle too, but just thank you, but Angela just is like she cares so deeply about her community, and it's very evident in how she knows every detail of what is going on with these grantees. And something that she encouraged us to do, which we did end up doing, is having gatherings with the grantees so that they could talk with each other, support each other in their projects, you know, learn how they might be able to collaborate together. We know that these are small dollar investments, but
folks were able to use them in a catalyzing way. Folks like Chad that started Swansea Safe Cycle now has folks from Dido calling him to say, hey, we're gonna be doing a survey in the neighborhoods about bike lanes. We want your opinion and the opinions of the folks that you're working with. Folks like the tree watering project, as Angela said, got the attention of the city to say, we can open up these fire hydrants because you all have shown us that there's this need and there's a capacity to in the neighborhoods to do these things. So these are it's truly not charity, it's truly an investment that makes something bigger in these neighborhoods.
Could I add something really quickly?
Yeah.
I just kind of want to point out like how something that we have been doing as a committee is like, as like we saw these applications come in, like the severe need that there is for like certain things like home repair, like it's also like, it's informing us and how to think strategically about how to grant out money. For example, like the critical home repairs, like one thing that we like had to think about is like, first of all, we can't just give people money and they need a contractor that's like bonded and like, insured and all these things, like, and that's just something that we don't have the capacity to like oversee, like a good program like Habitat and these bigger programs can do. So that was like something that we asked them to do, like, hey, like get a bid from a couple contractors, at least two, so that you don't get screwed over by just going to one. But then like it makes us think like strategically, like what are more like meaningful ways that like we can like designate future revenue streams where we see like a high area or a high need area and making it, more feasible for people to like get that critical home repair. So I just wanted to mention that as well, that like it's helping us speed our strategic thinking as we move forward as well.
Thank you. This is just a brief overview of our cycle 2. So we're in cycle 2 of granting out these $90,000 that we have. Our applications are open right now. Applications will be due at the end of April. In mid-March, our grant reviewer applications will open, and then we'll have a celebration and distribute funds in June. So we'll make sure to invite you all to that as well, to that celebration event. Can we go to the next slide, please? This is you, Liliana, if you're still there.
I am still here, yes. My dad is still holding the fort on the other side of the door, so we're good for a little while. Yeah, so as Brad mentioned earlier, in the previous presentation, there are certain revenue streams that are activated right now, mainly the roundup and the stock show and select events, among some other ones. We would like to see the roundup turned on and implemented across the campus. So that's really exciting news, Brad, that you shared in terms of in the future activating on all point of sale throughout the campus, as well as additional point of sale in the Coliseum for stock show. And so, so we are very interested and want to be a thought and strategy partner on these additional revenue streams as you all are also working on them. We know that you all know the campus and the possibilities, and community also has ideas. I mean, even at our launch and at some of the other meetings that we've had with community members, ideas around revenue stream, revenue sharing have come up. And so we would love to continue to be partners and strategize on those revenue streams. One example that has recently come up, a local example here, is the Ball Arena Community Benefits Agreement that has agreed to, sort of a flat 1% fee on all taxable transactions for the Ball Community Investment Fund. And so, again, as Stephanie mentioned, we are, continuing on a learning journey and seeing what other potential models might be helpful for us to look at in the future to, really figure out what the future of the CIF could be. And so, but to do that, we need more funds to do everything that we think could be possible. Next slide. One really cool thing that has happened in the last year is we've had a little bit more collaboration, more direct collaboration with SSA in preparation for this year's stock show. We have connected with them in the past, but this year we've had increased communication. We met with them multiple times, including meeting with having time on their orientation training with employees to talk about the roundup. We prepared CIF advertising materials to be posted and shared. Attended the stock show. In one of our conversations with them, which was always a little bit unclear to us, like who is responsible for turning this functionality on of the roundup on non-stock show and authority managed events. From what they shared, it seemed fairly easy to do on other events that they are also a part of. And so we're excited to hear and to think about the possibilities of, again, turning on the roundup through really any event that happens on a campus. And one thing that we would like a little bit more is more communication about where the funds come from. Again, it's always, we know that SSA runs a certain section, part of the campus when the National Western Center is on, and then other parts are operated by other concessionaires. And so we'd also just love a little bit more of a breakdown of where, for stock show in particular and in general, where the funds are coming from, so that we can strategize, be thought partners and co-strategists in how to make sure that we're really increasing the revenues through the roundup as one of the many mechanisms that we hope will be online soon.
I want to be really sensitive of our time, and also we'll make sure they go open for questions. So maybe just a couple more minutes, then we can open for Q&A.
Okay, perfect. We'll skip through because I think this is,
Thanks very much.
yeah, why don't we go to, this is, we shared a little bit about what the numbers are coming in. And so we'll go ahead and skip that one. But I'll just highlight on that last slide is that right now the revenue stream represents less than 1% of all the economic activity, at least for the stock show. And so I just wanted to point that out, in that we know there's a lot more that can be done, and we're excited, and we are definitely motivated to continue the conversations. And so our asks is to really continue outlining the process for negotiating like an overall campus revenue stream strategy. We know that the authority team has been really taking the lead on that, and we really want to be a part of that conversation as well. And so that's part of the, oh, I'm frozen. Sorry, here, I'll take my video. So that goes into the next point of really, how can we, be partners and negotiate an overall revenue stream strategy across the entire campus that includes all equity partners, City and County Denver, Stock Show, and CSU. And again, we want to be a partner. We want to be a collaborator. We appreciate that the authority team is doing all that they can, and we also want to be a part of those conversations and want that information and transparency, so that we can communicate with our community about where the funds are coming from.
Q&A? Yeah, one comment Alfonso said early on about how this is structured. Obviously, we want to make sure that this board does not really know the best use of these funds. So we obviously did CIF, you guys know what the best use of these funds. More importantly, you know the people in the community that are both solid recipients plus can make those decisions. So I think the fact that we want you guys to make the decision, so far you've made evasive decisions. And so I I think we want to make sure we keep it at that level. We don't want to be involved in the process, but I think our goal, our sole role here is probably oversight of the CNI, but more importantly, we gotta generate revenue. Exactly. I mean, no money, no mission. So I think these contracts, as they get negotiated, are very, very complex and difficult. So I think having you, I want to make sure I set expectations correct. I understand what you're saying, Liliana. It'd be tough to have you more active in that process, but I think obviously you can talk to Brad's team, but our responsibility is to give you as much revenue as possible. And we constantly talk about that. So, but to have you come up to that level and start negotiating would be like us to come down to this level and start talking about who gets the grant. So I want to make sure there's a clear differentiation. I appreciate what you're saying. I totally understand your request, but I just don't want to mislead you into thinking that might be something we might be able to do more. But again, I'll let Brad and you'll negotiate that because trust me, we spend a lot of time thinking about how do we generate revenue for this campus, which means revenue for you. But I think obviously you're more frustrated as we are.
John, if I could respond to that really
Sure,
quickly,
you got
and Shannon also. I think we're not, I think we're really, first of all, appreciative of like the work that Brad and the authority has done. We don't want their jobs, like, you know, we also understand the sensitivities about like contract negotiations when it comes down to, you know, the nitty gritty of it. I think what we're talking about is like staying in a very broad over general level, like when we mean negotiation, really it's talking about like the overall strategy around like where else can we target? And I think we've had like those kind of informal conversations. And I think we just want to set like a more formal relationship with the authority, I think more specifically, like where we can team up together to think through more critically on the overall strategy. So that's what we mean by negotiation, like, and I just want to be clear, like, we do not mean like taking over the authority's job of like, for example, like the equestrian center or hotel is a really good example. Like we don't want to have, we don't have the time. Quite frankly, we don't have the capacity to be doing Brad and Steve's like, you know, wonderful work that you have to do, and it's hard work too. So I just want to be clear that that's not what we're asking for. We're not asking to do that job. What we're asking for is quite the opposite of that, which is like the broader strategy. Can we like think through these things a little bit more critically and just strategically? And that's why also like pairing that with like some of the other requests about like where is the money coming from? Because for example, like just like learning a couple years ago, like the SSA was the main session there, like we got in front of their staff this stock before this year's stock show, and we were part of their orientation, for example, and we got to go in because like that was kind of like part of the strategic thinking. It's like, do they understand what the investment fund is, for example? So I think that's more or less what we're talking about. So I just wanted to make sure that we were being clear. Shannon, I know you want to add something as well.
You guys have been a great partner. You've always been very reasonable. So yeah, I think we want to make sure, because you're one of our greatest assets that we have in the community as our liaison. So I think it's very fair.
Let me just add something to.
Let me have Shane and one
I just, thank you, Alfonso, just to echo that, like, we appreciate all of the work that you all are doing to generate these funds. I think that the example of Ball Arena that's one of the reasons why we lift that up, is because they've been able to negotiate a percent across their entire campus, and it won't be in Ball Arena, of course, but they will have a hotel, they will have other entities that are generating revenue, and it creates a guarantee as they're negotiating, you know, all of those contracts and all of those buildings across that campus. It doesn't have to be exactly like that, but that's just one good example and precedent that we can see in our community that we can lift up as an example that we'd love to explore with you.
Well, and I love your passion. Yeah. Can't imagine anyone after she's had coffee.
They've seen me. I've seen them.
You guys have been just a great asset for us and done an incredible job. So yeah, I like the fact you're thinking, how can we make this thing bigger? I like that. And I just think that you brought so many people into the fold, something we could never do. We could never do. You guys have been so successful doing that. So I want to show much we appreciate you guys too.
Yeah, and I just want to jump in really fast and just say, you know, from a line in the framework agreement, sort of that promise, this like thing, and now we're here starting, you know, year 2 of our grant making efforts with the funds that we do have, you know, is an incredible place to be, and we're so happy to be able to be at this place, in this space, and sharing these updates with you all. And we know that there's so much more, and I know that you all know that there's so much more that can be done. And so we're just really excited to continue to be thought of as partners and continue to do this work together. And so yeah, we're thankful and we're appreciative and we're happy, and we're also looking at what else might be in the future. What else could we do?
I know after working with Leon, I know she has read the framework agreement. So let's let Brett have the last comment here.
Just Alfonso, that's a really helpful clarification that shines some light on something I didn't quite understand. So that's really helpful. There, in the email exchange we had with Councilman Watson and the CAF committee was on there, I replied, and I think Daryl sent to the committee a breakdown of all the detail that we have of where the sources of the funds were. The only one I wasn't able to be specific about, we have gotten for the last 2 years an anonymous donation. And other than that, you have the figures that we have on where those dollars have come from. So happy to talk if some of that's not clear, I'm happy to talk about that. And then lastly, the role of the authority, we are not deciders. These are our bosses. That's who I work for. That's who we all work for, and the partners. And so our role is to implement the vision of the National Western Center Master Plan and the vision and mission as guided by this board of directors. So I see our role as we're a facilitator. So we're the implementer of that. And we help define the how, just like your capacity is limited, so is our board's capacity. So we act as a facilitator, but if you were ever feeling like you're not getting the direct communication that you want from our board, I'm happy to facilitate to make that happen. But I suspect, in terms of National Western Center operations related things, we're gonna be at that table to help facilitate. So I'd love to have more conversations with you about if you see that as an impediment, because we can fix that. If you see that as an impediment.
Excellent presentation. I always think I know this, and then you always think, like, oh, I didn't know that. So, but thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I really don't. Are you sure you want to? Yeah. It's like they're hired to be all there. So they get my board more involved. Who wants more involved?
I know we're running long. We do have a short executive session.
Will we expect public comment? Public comment, general members?
Yeah. The members can public comment.
Just one, I would be remiss if I didn't say, thinking back to when Paul and Tony, we sat in a room negotiating the framework agreement and put CIF in that agreement, and we're by design generic, and there was a vision. I sit here and listen to the work, and it's doing exactly, I think, what we hoped it would do. And I'm just really, I want this board to know how proud I am personally that we're not allowing things like this to get lost, because it's so easy for things like this to get lost, and that sometimes we have to go at 50. We agreed that if any of our ideas worked, we were never going to tell. Sorry, Tony. This one I think I have to. Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to say, say that how proud I am of this organization and watching this thing grow. This is really phenomenal.
Got the right people do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's go ahead and.
One last comment. I do think this accountability piece is important, very, very important to understand exactly.
Yeah.
And they report, the CIF reports to us, is it quarterly, Steve, that they provide reports to us for semi?
The grant agreement that I wrote It's a 1-year grant, July 1 through June 30th, when we give them the money. And the requirements are a midterm interim narrative report. But at the end of the June 30th, they have to provide a full financial accountability of what they did with the funding we gave them in a narrative report as to how they measured the success of those grants.
That's great. And the meeting gives me a lot of confidence. They're really on top of it, so I feel good about that group.
And all the dollars flow through our fiscal agent, Colorado Neighborhood Development Corporation, CNBC, is the nonprofit that the fiscal agent. So that's a very helpful intermediary in the agreement that Steve was talking about, what defines those documents.
Okay, let's
We
go.
call all expenses, Stephen, meaning salaries, insurance, everything.
They're only giving us a financial report based on what we grant them.
Oh.
They're paying it general and administrative expenses out of the 400,000 technical assistance grant, so this is just related to the 1 year.
This was the most detailed we've seen.
Okay. A motion to go into executive session.
So,
That was second. Mark?
Yes. The Board of Directors of the National Western Sound Authority desires to go into executive session pursuant to section 24-6-402 sub 4 B and E to confer either with the authority's attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice and to determine positions, excuse me, relative to procurement matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and instructing negotiators. The board will not adopt any proposed policy, position, resolution, rule, regulation, or formal action during this executive session, and cannot do so. Pursuant to law, the recording will, the sessions are being recorded, and the recording will be maintained in the books and records of the National Western Center Authority. Everything discussed within the executive session is to remain confidential, particularly because I anticipate that we'll be doing matters regarding procurement, and that those are very, very important to maintain as confidential. So with that, Mr. Chair.
Motion today, second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, I'm sorry, we're now in executive session. We're now here, out of executive session. Anything else for this week? I agree with Alfonso, so this is not as nice as the other. This is never a historical destination.
The rent is perfect.
The rent is too damn high.
Perfect.
so John, either way you want to look at it, you're either 45 minutes early or 45 minutes late.
I know.
I'm gonna go with the late.
But really stop putting the numbers here, okay? Just leave it blank.
Just yours. will be
Not
totally-
9, 12, it will always be out early.
You keep that 10, 20 on there.
Yeah.